Chinese and Russian military leaders took aim at the United States during a security forum in Beijing, criticizing the lack of regular communication between the U.S. and Chinese militaries. The forum, known as the Shanshan Forum, is China's largest military diplomacy event and usually features a Chinese defense minister as the host. However, this year, the forum began without a Chinese defense minister but included a delegation from the United States. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu warned the West about the dangers of its involvement in the Ukraine war, stating that the escalating conflict could lead to a direct military clash between nuclear powers. Shoigu praised the relationship between Russia and China, referring to it as exemplary. Zhang Youxia, the vice chairman of China's Central Military Commission, delivered veiled criticism of the United States and its allies, accusing some countries of attempting to undermine China's government. However, Zhang also emphasized the importance of improving military ties with the United States, expressing a willingness to develop military cooperation based on mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and win-win cooperation. During the forum, Zhang held talks with Shoigu, discussing matters of mutual interest. It is noteworthy that China's defense minister, Li Shangfu, was dismissed the previous week without explanation, and a replacement has not yet been named. Reports suggest that Li is under investigation for corruption. The lack of high-level military-to-military communication between China and the United States has been a concern for Washington, particularly as tensions rise over various issues, including the South China Sea and Taiwan. The risk of an accidental clash between the two powers further highlights the need for regular communication and cooperation. The Office of the Undersecretary of Defense in the United States has dispatched a delegation led by Cynthia Xanthi-Karras, who serves as the China Country Director. During the forum, Karras had a brief exchange with Wu Qian, the spokesperson for China's Defense Ministry, as reported by a social media account associated with state broadcaster CCTV. Chad Spragia, a former U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for China, emphasized the significance of U.S. participation at the forum. He highlighted the importance of not yielding the space to others and acknowledged the role of the U.S. in actively listening and engaging. Spragia mentioned that he attended the event in a research capacity. The presence of the U.S. delegation coincides with increased exchanges between the United States and China, as both countries prepare for an anticipated summit between President Joe Biden and China's President Xi next month. Last week, China's top diplomat, Wang Yi, had an hour-long meeting with President Biden, which the White House described as a valuable opportunity to maintain open lines of communication between the two nations. Despite the conciliatory remarks regarding improving military ties between China and the United States, Zhang Youxia and some Chinese military officers did not show any signs of a softer stance on issues such as Taiwan, which Beijing considers its territory. Chinese Lieutenant General He Lei, speaking at a panel, stated that if China were to resort to force against Taiwan, it would be deemed a just and legitimate war for reunification. In his speech, Zhang emphasized that countries should refrain from deliberately provoking others on major and sensitive issues. He also underlined that Taiwan is of core interest to China. Many Western countries have chosen to either avoid attending the forum or are only sending low-level delegations.